Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today's conversation is one that deeply moves me, and I think it's going to resonate with a lot of you too. I'm sitting down with Chiquanna Villines, or Chi for short. She's a professional dancer, a content creator, a health and wellness advocate, and the founder of Flaunt Your Flare, a community organization for people living with eczema and skin conditions. Chi and I connected years ago on social media through our shared experience of eczema. And over the years, even though we haven't met in person, maybe one day, she's continued to inspire me and thousands of people too. All of us learning to redefine what beauty means to us, how we experience beauty in our lives and our bodies, reclaiming our self-worth, and how to show up with as much integrity as possible, especially for her as someone who is an influencer and how the influencer space is expanding. What does that mean? How can we do it ethically? How can we do it in a good way, a holistic way as well? So for Chi, her story, which is incredibly powerful, she explains that growing up, she felt like a prisoner in her own body, right? In her own skin. This isolation, feeling alone, feeling burdened by this severe eczema. And anyone who has ever experienced eczema or skin diseases, this is so disrupting. It changes our ability to live life, how we live life. And as a child, what adventures look like, what dreams might seem to just slip away. And she never saw anyone who looked like her in the dermatology offices and in the educational materials. As a Black woman with textured skin, she felt invisible in the wellness space. So at 30 years old, she decided to take these matters into her own hands, as we must do. She started documenting her healing journey, and in doing so, she became a voice, an advocate, the one that she always needed. And so today, she's helping others understand that healing is not linear. Let's run that back again. Healing is not linear. It is not in its nature that it's actually okay to not be okay. It's a part of that nonlinear journey. And showing up authentically, even in the mess, is actually what creates that real success. If we can be honest, that's what success can look like. So in this conversation, we'll talk about what it means to heal out loud, the courage it takes to be vulnerable, how that relates to healing, and how to transmute pain into power, and why creating safe spaces in community is truly essential. We also dive into redefining what success is, coming home to ourselves, and honoring our journey even when it looks like no one else's journey. So get comfortable, maybe get some tea, do your thing, and get ready to dive into this beautiful, raw, and deeply human conversation with Chi. Welcome back to Sort of Satwa. I'm Veronica Page, here to help cut through some of that confusion caused from the wellness industry so we can feel confident to choose what brings sustainable health and happiness. I was so sick I had to hide from the world until I discovered Ayurveda, a holistic healthcare system indigenous to India that continues to help people heal from seemingly incurable conditions. But I quickly learned it can be messy out here, y'all. From the coaching space to popularized and commodified wellness. So what really transformed my life was learning from some of the best Ayurvedic doctors, but also gaining the capacity in my own nervous system to discern, to follow my intuition and make the behavioral changes I needed to make every single day. Sort of Sattva integrates Ayurvedic principles, somatic relational healing, and conversations with others who are working to move forward in their field in a sustainable and holistic way. Together, we can strengthen our confidence and our intuition to choose what is really going to lead to happiness, health, and becoming truly successful, like F-U-L-L. So, if it feels true to you, I invite us to pause and take a deep breath. And let's drop in. Can you tell me a little bit more about integrity, specifically around the frame of showing up with integrity when we have something so forward-facing like a skin disease or right?
Yeah. I think for me growing up with eczema my entire life, it was something that I always hid. It was something that I always, patched up or made sure that I had something to cover it up and not necessarily something that I led with and I didn't talk about. And it was kind of like a silent part of me. And I just tried to live my life as if I was like everyone else until I couldn't. And until that facade and that mask had no other choice but to like come off. And living in my truth is that I'm a person who has lived with eczema my entire life. I've gone through topical steroid withdrawal. I've had to face uncomfortable truths, pains, suffering, transitions, changes, and also relearn what it means to feel beautiful, even when your skin, your largest organ, doesn't necessarily look the most beautiful. And I think that is something that I've shown with integrity through my blogging and just sharing my story. I am not this perfect person that has everything figured out. And especially when it comes to healing and skin healing, you really have to be like a very healthy person to kind of like get things to a manageable level. You have to eat right and do this and do that, and I always like to say, like, not every day I'm the healthiest version of myself, but I give myself grace in knowing that that is okay. That is okay not to show up as the healthiest version of myself. And especially for someone like me who, what I'm learning about myself now in this space is that I'm a perfectionist and I want everything to be perfect and I want it to be black or white. And sometimes it's like gray, sometimes it's in the middle, and sometimes it's messy, and sometimes it's just not as perfect as we want it to be. And so I've worked extremely hard to lead with that integrity. Like, I don't feel like showing up today, but here's my truth. If I have to show up, this is the truth that I'm showing up in.
Mm, mm. Thank you for that. This is so powerful. You really touched on some important points of integrity and also of the reality of like to be healthy does mean there's a lot to manage and there is a lot to do to be healthy.
Yeah.
To start to heal something like a skin disease.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that for you, the integrity really came through in sharing your story.
Yes.
This in and of itself as just baseline, like to not have an end goal, but it's like, hey, I'm sharing my story. What's going to happen from?
No, no. I have no clue. And I'm still there. I don't know where this is going to go or, where this is going to take me. It's opened so many doors and it's definitely given me a sense of purpose. But it's also, when you are, I made a post the other day about when you heal out loud, it is not easy. It is not easy because that healing is linear. It isn't linear is very true. So, there have been moments where I'm like, I'm on such a good track and I'm doing so good and I'm disciplined and I'm consistent and I'm going to heal out loud and I'm going to, do all the great things and show my transformation. And then and that can be in life and that can be with your skin. I know we both have eczema, and so that could also be with the chronicness of skin healing is that like, oh, you go months and years and weeks with good skin or better skin, and then something happens and it's just not so good anymore. So then you're left with like, how am I back here? How did I get here? But then you have to work through your perspective and you have to make those changes. But healing out loud is not easy and it is a bit messy.
Yes, that is facts. Thank you for sharing that. This is one piece around like being on social, being an influencer or whatever we want to call it. Like there's a lot of responsibility, and this is a conversation we had several years ago. The responsibility of putting ourselves out there to heal out loud is big work, and it's not easy. When I'm hearing you say in this process of like, oh, some days I'm like, I'm going to heal out loud. I'm going to share my story and do this and that. And then I might come the next week through this perhaps 28-day cycle if you're a womb holder, and every phase of this cycle will be different. I might come to another phase and be like, wait, I feel not great. And how did I get here? So if I hear that, what comes to me what you sparked in me is this new idea of like, I'm doing well, of success. Because me saying, if I have a perceived idea that I'm healing out loud, I'm an influencer and I'm sharing my story, that's success, right? If that is my only idea, then when I'm in a very human experience of this cycle, then, and I label that as unsuccessful, then that sounds like a bit of a spiral that is not sustainable.
Yeah.
So tell me more, if you want to share more about
I think like what you said, I think is important, but it's also important that you understand the language behind what you just said. And it's definitely having this human experience. And we do put so much emphasis on what success looks like. You know, for me, I've had to go back and forth so many times every single day of what success looks like to me, you know, and understanding the language around redefining what certain things mean. You know, and I think understanding that when I first started with my skin journey, I just wanted to have a better quality of life. I wanted my skin to be better, and I just always thought like once my skin is better, life is going to be great and life is going to be perfect, and I'm not going to have any worries, and I don't care what happens, I'm going to be fine. You know, and putting that much pressure on having on, you know, healing my skin and that being my success was also the downfall of me understanding that like, oh wow, yeah, now I've reached that level, but there's other things that I need to redefine what this success looks like, because just because my skin is better doesn't mean that, you know, that takes away from everything else that I have to grow and live through and work through and learn and rewire and figure out, especially in my womanhood, especially in, you know, understanding who I am and what I want and how I show up, and being authentic in that outside of my skin, you know, just simply who am I, you know, and being able to kind of sit in a lot of uncomfortable truths and be able to communicate that and kind of work through that through my work, is that's where I'm having to redefine some moments for myself.
That's so powerful. What I heard from you in that was this reminder of like, if then mentality. If my skin is clean, then I'm successful. I will be a model. I will be coach. Have a partner. Like if then, but the
Saying, like the reality is you can have that even through the journey. You know, you don't have to wait till you get to a certain point of success or what you deem as successful. You know, you build it, you grow into it, and that's something that I've had to learn. That's something that I personally had to learn.
so powerful. Thank you. Yeah, you're reminding me of this moment of one of my mentors sharing, like, if something is your God, if I make something my God, like my skin is the thing, then ultimately it will lead to my downfall. Not to say that we don't take the next best step forward. Like you said, to be healthy means I need to manage a lot.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, it's discipline. It just comes with it. It comes with, you know, it comes with it. But
Right. So there is a taking the next step forward, but there's also a humbleness around the skin is not my God, or my career, my modeling is not my God, but it is a step that I take forward because I value that thing, because with integrity, when I'm in this act of, you know, performance or sharing, something lights up in me.
right, right. I felt that. And I love being able to share my story in such an authentic way, because I really don't know how else to show up. So it's really it's a really unique experience to be in a position of, you know, to have a light and to have a journey and a story that you once felt was, you know, the starting point of all your pain and all your suffering. And now it's like your power play. It's like your power move. And and just like really transforming that in the different spaces that I find myself in. And how that makes me grow as a woman, how that makes me grow as a creator, as an advocate, how I can reach and connect with so many people on so many different levels, especially artists. A lot of artists who are going through anything with their skin, eczema or TSW. I feel like we have a very unique place in the skin healing because we are used to rejection. We are used to a lot of self-doubt. Like, as an artist, like, you're like, oh, that wasn't good. I can do better. Oh, that one, so having the implications of like showing up through all your imperfections. And I think as an artist, that's something that we all struggle with, even more so. So I think there's a very unique space in the skin healing and in any healing journey, especially for an artist to like show up.
Yeah, incredible. Can you actually take us through, it could be like a story and how you would work through this experience? If I'm an artist and to me, everyone is an artist, you want to create something or birth something into the world. If I'm an artist, a creator in some way, and I am at this place of pain, it could be with skin, health, IBS, pain, or heartbreak, like some seemingly downfall. And what steps have you taken to learn, rewire, transmute that pain into your power?
I think for me, and this is very personal, for me, it's not suffering in silence because I am the type of person, just my makeup is to go in a corner, figure it out, come out and be better and tell everyone I'm okay, no worry, everything's fine. It was just something that just took me 6 years to heal from. I'm fine. Don't worry. And so for me, my biggest advice is on any platform is to not suffer in silence. It is to be very loud about your messy, be very loud about your pain, be very loud about your hurt, be very loud about your suffering, not in a way of like being greedy, or taking advantage of others around you, but just not. It is okay to say, I'm not okay. It is okay to not always be strong. It is okay to let your circle of friends, to let your coworkers, to let your community, to let your neighborhood, whoever you're around, who's ever in your circle, to know you're not okay. This is what I'm going through. This is how I'm feeling. This is how it's affecting me. I really don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do about it, or I don't know what's going on, but this is how I'm feeling, to really allow some of those truths to come out and it to be real. And you don't really have to have all the answers every single day. You don't have to know exactly what to say. You can say, I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know what's going on, but I know I'm not okay. And I think like for me, that's been the biggest help. Although I chose to share my story online, and that has been a huge path of release and growth and healing for me, that may not be for everyone. So whether that is journaling or poetry or writing or, I don't know, but do not suffer in silence. And I don't think that any of us should have to walk through life in pain alone, because if you really open yourself up, you would really find that like, wow, the people around me have gone through heartbreak. The people around me have gone through this level of pain. The people around me have a condition that I didn't even know about. I've connected with friends who I didn't even know they had a chronic illness. And they're like, wow, I've not told anyone this before, but I have X, Y, and Z, And so really being open can increase your connections, and it can really drive some truthfulness around you and kind of help this healing journey regardless of what it is that you're going through.
I hope that everyone takes a moment and actually feels in their physical body this statement that you just shared with us, that it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
Okay to not have all the answers and to not suffer in silence. And I love that you said it doesn't mean I have to be the one to post it all on Instagram.
Yeah, no.
But it is getting it out. Emotions
Getting it
are
out.
energy in motion. Letting it move. And like you said, getting surprised maybe of the support that's out there. I love when you said, like, it's okay to, like, I don't know. I'm just saying the things to say, I don't know. One framework that I always tell the people I work with is, and this comes from one of my mentors, Brianna Lynn, it's okay to talk in spirals. Everything is a spiral. You don't have to know where this is going. This is how we started our call. Is we're going to get off of each other. We're going to flow.
Yep.
The end goal is best centered around holism, but there's not an end statement that needs to be made. So if you're hurting, what I'm hearing from you, if you're hurting, and I couldn't agree more, then let it out. Share it with someone. And it's okay to not know where it's going. That is not energy and motion.
It is. It really is. And people receive very well to honesty. And I think it's because you meet so many people every day and you're like, how are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm well. How are you? Good. And what happens when someone asks you, how are you? And you know what I've been doing? I say, I'm not well. I don't feel good today. I don't feel good today, but how's it going?
Just reality.
I'm not okay.
Yeah.
I'm not okay. Thanks for asking, but what do we need to do? But I'm very much at that place in my life of uncovering some of this need to be perfect and need to like look a certain way, be a certain way, or say a certain thing. And it's a continuous journey. I've been healing out loud for a while, but there's also different layers in healing. So I'm giving myself even more permission to be even more authentic to what's happening in this journey as I encounter different spaces.
Mm-hmm. What's so beautiful is as you're speaking, you're saying, I'm not okay, and I'm learning to be more authentic, and it's okay to not be perfect. What's coming up in the back of my mind is like screaming, is like, that's successful. And
Right.
like with an FULL, right? Successful. I'm being full, real, and grounded. That right there. And if we can start to rewire a little bit, that me actually showing up in my truth, which sometimes might be radical and defiant joy. It might be, and that's also okay. And it also might be like, I'm not great. I'm not going to speak so much today, but I'm here. That's also like that's success. But it is a lot of rewiring work. So I want to ask you what it is that you were maybe raised in terms of like, how did you receive the messages of what success needs to look like?
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps like, is it an exercise, or is it storytelling for someone that's wanting to rewire their own perspective around success if they have a similar story to yours?
Mm-hmm. That's such a good question. I think for me, I grew up in North Carolina, small town girl. And so very like religious family. So success was very traditional, extremely, walk by faith, marry, have kids, get your house, be a good person, go to church, have your children. Success. I don't have any of that. Right. So I've had to do a lot of rewiring and redefining what success looks like for me, because that also was not my journey. I was taken on a totally different journey, and I've been able to have so much success in different spaces in my life and different parts of my career. And I think it's affirming right now that we're having this conversation for me, because I'm now having to redefine what success looks like again. So it's, a continuous journey because again, I think what I did in my journey, and I think this is such an important point to make, is I put so much emphasis on when my skin is this, then I will be that. And now I have the skin and everything is great there. And I'm just like, why don't I feel that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why don't I feel like, and it doesn't mean that I'm not grateful for the work and the healing and where I am and how I feel and how I'm showing up. It just means that there are other things that I'm having to uncover. I have to redefine, I have to rewire, because for someone like you and I who've put so much energy and time into the healing journey, and specifically skin for me, what happened was that I was able to focus on other pillars of my womanhood and other pillars of my healing journey. So it was like I took all my energy and all my focus and I put it into my skin and I put it into my skin health. And then I get to this place and was like, oh, but then there's this and this and this and this.
This is very good.
So that's where I'm at, and that is like really what's coming up for me today, in these past few weeks, that I really, I have a therapist, I talk to my friends often, I, am very curious to understand, you know, how I am showing up now and what that means and how I can continuously redefining, what this motion and what this journey and what this story is doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So powerful. Thank you. I'm sure so many people will watch this and hear the story of like a very strict idea of success, marriage, of money or a home, like that. One of my teachers, also Wakia Umani, he was sharing with us a Lakota story around what we're given as children, which is like a bucket of water. Your belief systems, your material, your fears, it's given to us by our family, right? And then our journey throughout life is to water and pour what it is that we can pour out with intention. I'm going to pour a little bit here on this sweet grass. I'm going to pour a little bit here on this basil. And it's intentional, right? Giving it back to Mother Earth. Or we kind of like spew our water everywhere. And this is the like the unhealed, like the work when we don't have a therapist, we don't have an elder, we don't have our friends, right? Then what energy just comes out like sideways. Mm-hmm. The energy is the sharpness, right? But it then becomes our duty to refill that bucket back up,
Right.
whether it's given to a child or given to someone else, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is like your journey of pouring this water out and then looking at this bigger picture of success. I would love to ask you if there's any holes or what I'm going to list out of like these pillars of success or pillars of health, we can even call them. And I might be missing some, or I'm curious like what kind of resonates with you as I list these out. One, we have the like social health, the social wealth, right? Like you said, my friends, like the social capital. Yeah. Then we have our human capabilities, our human health, my skin, my digestive capacity, my flexibility or strength. We have our our psychological health too. Like I can cognitively be self-aware. I have hope. I have joy, access to confidence, right? And then we have our like Earth's connection to natural wealth. Yeah, the natural resources of the world and honor that sustains us. Then we have like ethically utilized financial health too, right? Like ethical financial means. Yeah. creative health, knowledge capital, cultural wealth.
Right.
Right? Like these are all, if I focus just on the health of my body, like you mentioned, now my skin's good, but what about earth?
These other pillars.
Oh, they're pillars.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think it's such a great conversation. And also I have to give myself grace because I'm like, well, why didn't I think about this before? But you don't know what you don't know. And I think it's, confidence, growing, healing, success is something you build. And that's just like, that is the biggest, if you take away anything from this, that is something that I would really enjoy for you to take away. It's not something that happens and everything is just perfect. It's, you can start where you are right now. You can be successful where you are today. You don't have to wait until this thing and then you have success. And you can be successful in whatever it is that whatever fills your cup, whatever fills your spirit. And that is something that I think is very important. It's important to understand and to rewire. And we live with a lot of societal pressures. We live with a lot of, just judgments of ourselves, comparison, and comparison yourself to others. And, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. We all have so many different unique paths, and you could be comparing yourself to someone who just, was on a totally different path and had totally different resources and totally different support system than you did. And so you cannot, do that to yourself. You have to give yourself grace, as long as you're like putting yourself in positions to be open, to learn, to mess up, to make mistakes, to not be perfect, to show up even in a messy state, like to show up even when you don't feel like you're your best, because no one really knows but you. So
Yeah.
show
Again,
up,
like
show up,
show up.
show up. It's okay. It is okay. And those are some things that I'm just learning.
Totally. Learning another, my mentors, like learning is unlearning.
Yeah.
Learning is unlearning. Thank you for mentioning the grace, like that. Again, the moment I can hit grace, find that grace from the fact that we haven't been raised by our wise elders. And when I say elders, I'm not talking just about our parents, but it's like the community, the connection that to the plants, to the earth. We've lost that through colonialism, through like hundreds of years of fragmentation. And we're coming home, right? We're coming home to each other. This is why people get therapists and coaches, right? We pay all this money for coaches and therapists because we're craving our elders who remind us that, hey, to have grace. Hey, there's other pillars of success, of well.
I called my mom the other day because I was not well. And I called her, and I never really call her. And I call her, and I come from a very religious family. And she prayed over me. And I have not received a prayer and I know that my ancestors and my grandmother in heaven, and I know my family and my aunt, and I know they pray for me, but for me to hear it out loud and, hear the strength and the faith in my mom's voice, I just had such appreciation for home and where I come from, because I may not practice everything that I grew up with, but I still honor it. And that level of faith and prayer, just I feel like has covered me since then, and I got off that phone call and I was like, wow, what a beautiful way to remember where you come from, and when I needed it, it was there. It was there.
So powerful. Thank you for sharing that story. It makes, when you said, even though I don't practice all, you still got to receive with her. And
Absolutely.
her too.
Absolutely. For sure. Because, I've had to learn a lot and grow in my spiritual health. And that's not necessarily how I grew up. I grew up very religious. So, I've had to rewire what works for me and what works for my life. And so it's a lot of things that I don't practice in the Christian faith, but I do honor it and I do respect it. And I am glad at that moment that I had a praying mother to call.
Thank you. For anyone who hasn't connected to their family, their parents, I'm not saying you have to, not by any means. Of course, we don't know anyone's situation except for our own. And we have chosen family, and we have the trees. We have find the source of something that feels like home.
Yeah.
And that this is going to take me to my last question to you is when it comes to this idea of coming home, because I asked this because we've both dealt with eczema, and for anyone here who's dealing with some kind of health challenge, the idea of home was such a pillar for me, but I think we might have different ideas of that. So can you just share with me your experience with this idea of home, coming home, the whole construct around finding a home, especially in today's day and age? It could go so many different ways. You take it.
Oh, what a loaded question.
I'll have some time.
I think for me, it's really important for you to create spaces where you feel safe. First, I feel safe would be the first word for me. I need a safe space, especially during my healing journey. I've been in this apartment for 5 years healing, and it's my home because I've created such a safe space here for all the messiness of what comes with that. But I don't necessarily think home is a place or a destination. I do think that home is getting back to you, getting back to some of those childlike qualities, to bringing coloring, going outside, grounding, listening to your favorite songs, having a dance party, being free, being you, investing in things that bring you joy and bring you comfort and bring you peace and bring you ease. If that's baking, if that's cooking, if that's reading, if that's writing, not neglecting those parts of you. And I feel like that is what's going to bring you home. Because at the end of the day, when life happens, or when you don't feel safe, or when you don't feel heard, or when you're suffering, we want to go to that safe space. And I can guarantee you that those things that bring you peace, those things that bring you joy, that's going to be what you go to. That's going to be your home. So whatever that is that you carry inside of you, that is your passion, that's something you enjoy, that you can do every day, every single minute of the day. For me, that's dance. That's my home. That's something that I carry with me. If I'm going through anything, I can always turn to dance. So for me, that is home. Finding what brings you joy, finding you. What makes you you? What brings you that spark? What brings you that light? And what brings you to a safe space within you? Because my apartment could not be here tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm here in this physical body. So what are those things that I can go to? What are those places that I can go to within myself to bring me a piece of home?
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I feel really, really grateful for that reminder. Home is feeling safety and peace and ease, and coming back to the parts of our inner child.
Yeah.
And I'll say, with the understanding that we're not diminishing the challenges of the world. There are a lot of challenges going on in the world. And if you are someone who feels overwhelmed by how many things there is to do, and it's how can I come back and learn about myself when there's so many tasks? This is the overwhelm, right? We don't have all the answers. However, we're sharing the things that have worked for us. And what you just said, Chi, is very similar to my journey of coming home too, which was a pillar of the eczema healing. It was movement. It was rocking my physical body. It was shaking and breathing. It was taking time to journal in spirals, to talk to myself in spirals until there was a little bit more capacity to do the things that were on the task list or whatever, right? That created overwhelm. But overwhelm because I have to figure out money or a job or a friendship or a partner. All of those signs of overwhelm is a sign from our physical body that's saying, hey, I'm asking for you to come home. I'm asking for you to come home. My overwhelm, that feeling is like, I need to come home to myself. So maybe success in the moment of feeling overwhelmed is to find like a little way to come home. Dance, movement, journal, whatever that is. Talking in spirals with a safe person. Thank you. That could not resonate more. Really. I'm honored to chat with you. Every time I do, I feel grounded and I'm inspired by your artistry, what you put out in the world. You put the way she puts things out into the world as, yes, I'll say like an influencer, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's sexy. I'm like, yes, womanhood. I'm here for it. And there's always like a sprinkle of this truth bomb of like, oh, yo,
thank you. Thank you for that.
I wonder if people like are even seeing that, because I'm like, I can create and I can do really amazing things and I love it, but also like that does not take away from the truthfulness and the realness and the rawness of like how I did this.
Real and raw. What's coming to my mind is like the reality of womanhood in our cycles, our 28-day or cycles. Like I'm not this isn't my full-on wheelhouse, but I do work with like menstrual cycling with clients.
Oh, interesting.
I see you there. I'm like, oh shit, okay. So like, is she in ovulation right now?
Yes.
Like, it's like going hard.
Very much, girl.
I gotta take the days and run with it.
Exactly. And that's amazing. So if you're a womb holder and some days you're trying to show up in your business or you're trying to show up in a certain way and you're like, why can I just not? Maybe it's because we're like middle luteal phase. Can we give ourselves a little bit of grace and show up as we do in luteal?
Yeah. It's such a roller coaster what we go through as women.
It's so, thank you for being a leader. In the ways that you are with how you show up. It shows, and thank you. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share with people? Something that you're working on, something important to you, anything you might have missed, anything at all?
I think the last thing is that I'm just developing Flaunt Your Flare. That's happening in October of this year. Flaunt Your Flare is a community organization based out of Florida, which it is a passion project of mine. I derived it from my TSW and eczema journey, and coming from the background of being a performer and also working in production, I really want to create a way to make all of my passions make sense. And so I work in events and it is a passion of mine. And I think that there needs to be more space for people going through skin conditions like eczema to just meet and connect and share. And that's why I created Flaunt Your Flare. So Flaunt Your Flare is, you can go on my Instagram page, and it's still developing, but we did have our first Flaunt Your Flare last year, and it was a great turnout, and we had amazing sponsors, and the community came, and it was just a beautiful way to get so many people in the same room who had similar stories and connect. And I just think it's really important that we continue to create spaces for us to share outside Instagram or TikTok, like create spaces for us to meet in real life and to touch each other and to see each other and to hear each other and to ask questions and to be in the physical with one another. And so that is my mission with Flaunt Your Flare. So just stay tuned for all of that that's developing for October.
Oh, wow. Flaunt Your Flare. If this was around me during the time that I had big flare-ups with my skin, you're really making real this story that you just shared of not suffering in silence, Like, yeah, complete opposite. Celebrate.
Yeah, like you have to show up no matter what texture, what your skin's looking like, what you're feeling. Like you have the capacity to show up and look good and own it, even if it's not what you want to be or where you think it should be. And I really, really want to emphasize that. And I see so many people do it, and I think it's amazing. It is amazing. And I just want to be a part of that, creating spaces where people are like, I am not alone. And I think that's just really important because I don't know. I'm a very social person. I have a lot of people in my life, but I know a lot of people aren't. I know a lot of people, especially if you have a skin condition, you tend to be more isolated. You tend to be a little bit more introverted. And, it is it is just not okay for me to have anyone suffering in silence. So whatever I can do to create spaces and to create some relatability amongst the community, that's what I'm here for.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Show up as you are.
Yes.
Your flare. We'll make sure to link wherever people can get more information. And just caveat as you bring back to what you said at the beginning, just showing up, even if you're not feeling okay, but you're there, like that's again showing up, and to me feels like success. Doesn't mean you have to like look a certain way, but you're there. Really powerful. Thank you, Chi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And remind us your social so you could say it out loud, but it'd also be
My Instagram, my personal Instagram is at ITS_JUSTCHI. It's just Chi. My skin blog is at the itchy Chi _. And Flaunt Your Flare is at Flaunt Your Flare.
gorgeous. Yoo! Much love to you. Giving you a big, like you said, together and give each other hugs. And I feel that that's really powerful. So feel like you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.